Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between. I am your host, James J. As always, with me, Kaliko Yachts.
Reporting live from California. What's up, y'all?
And clear skies for Scooter Dust.
Hey, let's all get naked and see who the best man is. I'm looking at you, Kip Sabian.
It's a great day for wrestling, and it's also a great day for wrestling with entertainment. Um, we got a lot of views on my video of
Three.
me going into the supermarket and asking people who Darby Allin was. A very interesting study. I found it very amusing. I don't think the people exactly knew what was going on, but that just makes it more interesting, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's the first time I ever actually saw your face, James.
And you won't.
He's like,
Again.
I finally put a name to the face, a face to the name.
So, unfortunately, my efforts were rendered useless. Nobody in the supermarket knew who Darby Allin was. Kaliko, you're up next. What could we expect from San Diego supermarkets?
Well, it's weird because San Diego is part of, it's close to Mexico, which is where like the wrestling culture is kind of a lot more feverish, if you will. But the section of San Diego that I'm in, it's more affluent, if you will. So it wouldn't surprise me if people didn't know who Darby Allin was. And I'll give you this as an example. I had a guy that was coming in my house, and he came to our room like to fix something or something. And I have all this wrestling shit. So my wife was like, "Oh my god, he's so into wrestling." Then he walks in, and then he sees like the Undertaker plaques and all the belts, and he's like, "Holy shit, he is really into wrestling." So, so it's almost like it's not as obsessive in San Diego, and it shows because they don't really do a lot of. We don't get all the good shows, the good pay-per-views, if you will. So, yeah, LA gets that shit.
What I'm really interested is when Scooter does his side of things, because
Oh,
in New York,
yes.
Darby Allin might be a little bit more established there because AEW's been up there a lot more than they've been down here.
Yes,
They've been there a lot more than the whole West Coast combined.
I mean, Darby Allin did probably the last major gathering in New York. He was at the 2020 New York Toy Fair back in February.
Huh.
And I know he's got a little bit, like, he's got more of a following in the Mid-Atlantic area because he came from Evolve.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Evolve was in Georgia?
No, Evolve.
No, it's in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I know it's in the Atlantic area.
Yeah. Evolve was mainly Jersey, Mid-Atlantic tri-state area, Jersey,
Okay.
New York, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's going to be interesting, to say the least. Not so good news. Impact Wrestling lost Barry Scott, who used to
The
do
voice. Yep.
the voice of TNA essentially. TNA crossed the line. Um, which kind of sucks because he was, essentially the voice of TNA. Any anything you guys want to add to that?
He's up there with Cheeks. Nobody remembers Cheeks.
Can't say that I do.
Big heavy guy.
Oh man, let's just get the DeLorean. Can we get the DeLorean and just skip the 2022? Because I feel like this shit's just gonna be all over into 2021.
We can get a Mandalorian though.
We can, because Mulan, Szechuan sauce, yeah.
Yeah, but you got to pay $35 for it. So
Thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and we also lost Puppet the Psycho Dwarf.
Puppet the Psycho, which he worked with Cheeks.
Oh, there you go. There's your connection.
There, he's like, oh, there's the connection.
There we go.
There it is.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family as well. Shocking news this week. WWE laid off around 70 crew members and backstage people, including longtime employee of WWE, Jerry Briscoe. This is not a great time to be in WWE, is it? Isn't it, Scooter?
I mean, when has it been a great time to be in the WWE at all this year?
Right. But, they went from, a massive firing slash furlough earlier in the year. And once again, they said they cut 70 people, I heard.
And Gerald Briscoe is someone that Vince had a list of people who would always have a job, and Jerry Briscoe was one of those people. Now you combine that with the fact that Vince has dropped off the list of richest CEOs, and that tells you the the declining financial state of how the WWE really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they lost a lot of money this year, but they also still continue to make a profit. So you could maybe say that maybe these firings were kind of unwanted in a sense.
Well, I think the layoffs, because usually when companies do layoffs, the layoffs is to offset the cost to gain the profits. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they turn a profit. Yeah, that they turn that profit by trimming the fat of their payroll. That's basic business. That's how most businesses operate. To me, I feel like that they were trying to hold on as long as they could, because they did that one mass firing, but then they furloughed everybody because they were hoping, well, shit, it gets to September, October, everything will be better, and we could, keep it going and maybe hire some people. And as you can see, it's September. We still fucking inside grounded, and they gotta make those moves.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, if this ever
It is.
if this ever goes away, that maybe some of these guys will get rehired.
I feel like Joe Briscoe should have retired at that point. Like, you've been there 30 years, your pension should be fat. And you're at least your 401k.
I mean, is the body shop still in business?
I believe
I
it
mean,
is.
if he's doing auto repairs, he'll never be out of business. Shit.
One of the better things to happen this week, Finn Balor won the NXT Championship for the second
Oh,
time.
called it.
Yes, you
Yeah, you
did.
called it. You called it.
No, wait a minute. You said Adam Cole. You went with Adam Cole.
No, I
No,
went Adam Cole. I
I
went Adam
went
Cole.
Balor.
I went Adam Cole. No, actually, no, I went Gargano because I thought Gargano it would have made sense because they were kind of building him up to be like this guy that fixes NXT. But I,
Now he's a house husband.
yeah, you know how that goes, the husband and wife thing. But I guess with Finn, because my thing was I thought Finn was gonna go to NXT UK, take out Walter, and then that's it. But based on the travel restrictions, hey, it it kind of keeps him, you know, afloat as the champ and as a name. And it makes sense for him because he's one of the most popular stars in NXT plus or in WWE rather. And plus, like, since he got back to NXT, he hasn't really lost a lot of matches. So it
Right.
kind of makes you seem like how come he didn't get this shot earlier if they knew NXT UK wasn't going to pop off?
And with the you know Survivor Series, coming around the
Yep.
way, I can see them possibly trying to bank on something between Balor and McIntyre.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
Reigns.
Balor and Reigns. Yeah, back him out. Because think about it. Balor, if I'm not mistaken, I think they faced each other,
Yeah.
Balor
And
and McIntyre, in Raw. And I think McIntyre has been owning his ass. But
I
I
don't
know
remember
Balor and
Balor, but I do remember Reigns, and Finn Balor actually won that match.
right, because that was the
Yeah.
Universal Tournament, and he was the first champ.
Right. Um, NXT's been on Tuesdays for the last 2 weeks. Uh, and they're already thinking about making that a permanent home for NXT. What are your thoughts on, NXT possibly backing out of the Wednesday Night Wars with AEW? Scooter?
I mean, if you go back to like when you had Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Tuesday, NXT on Wednesday, combined with pay per view Sunday, that was 4 days in a row worth of wrestling, 5 with an NXT takeover. Honestly, I think Wednesdays are a much better fit because you're gonna at some point fans are gonna get overloaded. You know, so the spacing out in the week just allows the fans to you know like kind of mellow out a little bit. So whatever happened on Raw can leave their mind, and they can focus on what's coming up on NXT, and then that leaves their minds. They can focus on what was coming up on SmackDown, and it's a nice flow having it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So you think it's gonna maybe burn some fans out?
Yeah, combined um, with with I'm pretty sure Tuesday is the no, because right now, I mean, Tuesday is
Tuesday has
one of
the
the most competitive nights on television re- across all the networks.
really. I didn't.
Um, yeah, and I mean, it's one of the reasons why SmackDown on Tuesdays ended up, failing.
Right.
And you know, and I mean, if they, yeah, this is such a difficult thing to discern in these times because you really just can't be sure. Like if it's gonna move to Tuesdays, I would say try moving it to another network. Try moving it to ESPN.
Hmm. That's an interesting.
I mean, think about it this way. Okay, they've got Raw on USA, Viacom, SmackDown on Fox, which is now owned by Disney, and yeah, I was gonna say ESPN. You get more of that Disney money.
Oh no.
So if they do move Tuesdays, make it move to a new network.
What say you, Kaliko?
I must admit, I I do like the flow of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday because it kind of gives the viewer a break. Because you got to think Monday's already what 3 hours, and
Yep.
then you got Friday was 2 hours, and when NXT was an hour, I think it was good because it was short, sweet, to the point, and that's what most people looked forward to. They looked forward to the shortest programming because it caught their attention span the most. Moving it to a Tuesday is it asking the audience to go back to back. That tells me they must think NXT got pulled, and NXT does have its core base where most people are like, I don't even watch Raw and SmackDown. I'm just an NXT person. So it's not that. Um, we just got to figure out what's the angle and what's the end game. Now, with football coming back and the way that sports is so far blended, because think about it, we got college football, professional football. The NBA is still in playoffs right now. Usually the NBA is done, and it only would take a LA Clippers Lakers finals or conference finals to knock NXT out the boot, or a Boston Lakers NBA finals that they run on Tuesdays because that's how it usually goes. Um, so I would be cautious with it, especially during this time because a lot of the sports that are usually over are still running, and they're running coinciding with other sports that are just beginning. So the audience have options now. And that's where it's dangerous. Because if they couldn't get it where they had no audience for that, March to about June timeframe, I think it's going to be more difficult for WWE even on a Tuesday, because all it would take is the NBA running a game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals on ESPN, because that ESPN and ABC, they usually run the Eastern Conference playoffs. So that's why I'm like, that could dip them in the behind, or any of the ESPN college football contracts, because they have games on Tuesdays. And I'm betting you they're going to play those they're going to play as much live sports as they can, just to get that revenue back for these colleges and universities. So that's where I think the struggle will be for WWE. Hell, even AEW, because once live sports comes back and some of these places are going to allow fans just to have that atmosphere, I think that's just going to change the game.
Speaking of AEW, they drew 1 million viewers this last Wednesday with no competition from NXT. But, I could make the argument, All Out is essentially their WrestleMania to a degree. So, yeah, people wanted to see who won at the biggest paid preview. No different than the ratings from the Raw after WrestleMania. Right, Scooter?
Honestly, I don't know if that applies as much as it was just being unopposed, and it being back on its regular night. Because there is a trend with with TV shows that if they're not on for a week and then they come back at the same time slot, you're always going to see an increase in viewership because of the people that missed it at its regular time. Plus, with you got to wonder how many, how many knew what had the inside scoop on what was going to go down on Dynamite. It's the exception, not the rule, to a degree. I don't think we'll see them hit 1 million 2 weeks in a row, if not for quite some time.
That's what I was thinking too.
I get that point, but also to me, it just goes to show that it was just crabs in a barrel, man. Honestly. And that's for NXT and WWE. They were fighting for the same audience. They weren't fighting to expand the audience. And that's why I thought it was a lose. It's a win for wrestling that we have more options to watch wrestling, but it's a lose for wrestling in the sense that we're not trying to expand the tent. We're just fighting for the same group of people. And that is where I was like, it don't even matter.
Well, on that same episode of AEW, we saw the debut of Miro.
Miro,
not Mario. Luigi?
Miro. Also formerly known as Rusev.
God, they couldn't think of a better name than to go with the first half of his first name.
No, I think that was his call there.
Ugh.
Miro. Scooter, your thoughts?
Spanish for I watch. Now,
I know, Miro, mija, Miro, mija.
um, oof. Oh God, first that bleached hair is a mistake. Like, I went blonde, and like 12 something years ago, and people with naturally dark hair, there's a reason we don't do that anymore because God, it was like that episode of Fresh Prince where Carlton accidentally dyes his hair, or he dyed his hair for Halloween, and it just looked so awkward. Um, Couple the fact with they are doing the exact same thing the WWE did with him. They're putting him with the All Elite version of Aiden English.
You mean just another British guy?
They're making him another, someone's muscle.
And nobody is going to mention the fact that he wore pajama bottoms and a Mickey and Minnie shirt.
I mean,
The least of his problems.
Though I will say that I am wholly interested in seeing what he does in New Japan.
Did he say he was going into New Japan?
Yes. His contract will allow him to take New Japan dates in Japan, but it won't allow him to take any USA bookings.
Well,
So New Japan USA is out of the question.
So basically, the Moxley rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting considering Moxley is supposed to be fighting Kenta for the chip, and yeah, we're still waiting on that one.
It's coming. It's coming soon.
I don't think so. I personally don't think so. In the sense that unless the U.S. gets off these these being banned for traveling elsewhere, I don't see it happening. And I would think Mox would have to relinquish the belt.
I think that's where they're heading. At least that's where it seems they're heading.
That's the only way it could go. But honestly, I think that would be better off because Kenta could get the belt without having to fight. He's already hated anyway, so that would just even put more heat on him.
They also signed Sarita Deeb.
Oh, so the WWE count goes to 27 now?
I mean, it feels like 2,700.
It does.
And if the WWE jumps on, if AEW jumps on signing former WWE staff writer Anthony Benino, that will, if they can do that, that would probably give them a much needed boost in the on the other side of things.
As far as I know, AEW doesn't have writers.
They got
I think they only got producers, right?
Right.
Then those producers are writers. Because somebody's doing
Yeah, somebody's got to get the flow of the show together. So yeah, I get the point.
Yeah. So
Kaliko, your thoughts on Miro and AEW?
I mean, it is what it is. Hey man, get your job. I ain't mad at you. Um, I don't think I think some people get over over what's the word, overworked when a WWE guy gets signed. I think about what Scooter says, and it's to me more about how they use them. And that is my biggest gripe when they sign WWE guys. Because if you're going to sign a Rusev just to put him in a kind of a gimmick that he had with Aiden English, or if you have a Ty Dillinger and you have him do basically where is basically a lat move. So you can't sit there and tell me, oh my God, Vince is so out of touch and he doesn't get it, when they're basically lat moving to a different company and doing the same damn thing.
What about Tanara Conti? She just signed with AEW, and her first match officially as an active competitor, they jobbed her to Nyla Rose.
yeah, but her record was 1-1 on her.
Yeah, Tanya Conti got cut off a long time ago. But I could see with Tanya Conti, because Tanya Conti never really got traction in NXT, so that's one thing. But if you have someone who, in Rusev, keep in mind, he was supposed to have been slated champion before Jinder Mahal if he hadn't fucked his ankle up. That's how high he was. And for him to sit there and say, oh, I'm this brass ring and blah, 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 and you go and you're doing the same thing, it doesn't compute to me. It doesn't compute to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like as much as everyone sits there and shits on like how they're managed, people need to realize there's only so many people that could be at the top. You know what I'm saying? And it's rotating. It's not where this and it's not a platform where, you know, how it used to be in the 80s where they had this one big star and that's it. WWE's trying to do it to where there's a gang of motherfuckers that are all on top, and the brand itself is the top star. So that's where I feel like there's that disconnect, and then only for them to go to AEW and do the same thing when AEW needs to be focusing on getting their branding up versus trying to sign everybody and have them do the same role. It's, I mean, to me, it's kind of hypocritical.
Right. And I'm sure by next week the AEW former WWE star count will be up to 30. Until then, we will finish up with the news.
I mean, 50, 1100.
We'll finish up with the news. And we are wrestling with AEW All Out. It was last Saturday. And, this is essentially their WrestleMania of sorts. It's their biggest show. Still not at the size of WrestleMania, but what did you think of the show as a whole, Scooter?
On the whole, I mean, it was a decent show. There was some some good matches. Actually, some great matches, quite honestly. Again, I'm not. I'm still not. Buying the fact that MJF can main event a pay-per-view, and I'm not sure I ever will. I mean, I kind of like. Yeah, I mean, based on the way it went, I mean, at this point, there's nobody that's a real danger to Jon Moxley. I mean, clearly they're gonna put Lance Archer, but again, it's another AEW pay-per-view where it's almost where it's the former WWE guys that come out on top. And yeah, they can't keep doing this and expecting not to be compared to them. So, as just based on the matches, it was a good, just under great show in terms of comparing it to, the WWE. Maybe only a little bit of originality.
All right. What about you, Kaliko? What was your thoughts on the show as a whole?
The show as a whole was, I'll agree, it was decent, pretty good. But to me, it got marred by two of the dumbest decisions that they made. In part of fucking with people's health, because that in itself is a hypocritical move that they, do as far as WWE. That Matt Hardy shit, to me, overshadowed everything. The fact that they knew he was fucked up and they let him continue that match is just a crime in itself. Because as much as, WWE took heat on it with the Benoit shit, they kind of took it to the extreme to where they overcorrected, but at least you could say that they were doing it on the side of safety. I don't know what the fuck AEW was doing and allowing him to finish that match.
And we'll definitely talk about that.
And to me, that overshadowed everything. The fact that you allowed that guy to continue to risk his life in that match, to me, overshadowed. I think, AEW is basically Mox's to lose. Who else? And the fun thing, I was talking about little brother because we always talk about these things. And he made a good statement, and it goes inside with what Scooter was saying. All of their male champions are former WWE guys.
Yes.
What the fuck, bro?
And they're current tag team champions.
And that's my point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All of all the championships that are held, other than Sheeta, everyone's a former WWE guy. So that tells me, bro, you're basically, you're no different than what TNA is doing. You're no different than what You know what I mean? I'm in as much as, and I'm not knocking the show. The show overall was decent, but those were the things that overshadowed. I thought Thunder Rosa versus Sheeta was really, really good. Um, MJF versus Mox to me, just the size, there was no way I could believe it. I mean, granted, I could say the same for WWE when they had Keith Lee versus Adam Cole, but at least Adam Cole was the champ, and you know, there was that dynamic there. Here, you're expecting me that guy who did, like I told you, who didn't do shit to get this title shot, all of a sudden is going to be in the main event picture. Like, this is where I hated with that wins and loss matter shit, because you're telling me that it matters, but your actions are telling me that it doesn't matter. And that's where I have a problem. The biggest problem with AEW is, don't tell me wins and losses matter, and MJF only had like what, maybe a handful of matches, maybe under 5 matches, and yet he's the number 1 contender. Fuck out of here.
Let's get into it. The first matchup was the tooth and nail match. Cedric Alexander's wife defeated Adam Cole's girlfriend.
No, that's wifey.
No, they're
Yeah,
not married. They're not married yet.
Yeah.
No, I think they are.
No. But I actually really liked this match, even though Britt Baker lost yet again. I mean, if there was ever a match for her to win, I kind of felt like this was it.
No, this was definitely her match to lose. I mean, overlooking the fact that.
Sorry to interrupt, Scooter. They got married in 2018. They're married, motherfucker.
No, Wikipedia says they're just in a relationship.
Says that they married since June 2018.
Huh. But back to what you were saying, Scooter.
But I digress. Go back to Scooter. I'm sorry.
Wait, no. It's not. He's in a yeah, they're not married.
Yeah, that's what they wasn't.
See, that's weird, because I just looked it up. They said they've been married since June 2018.
It's girlfriend.
This is the weirdest shit.
But
fuck AEW. Let's find out if they're married.
Like everything I've come up with is girlfriend.
That's fucking nuts. Because I just looked up, they're married, and it says the couple's been married since 2018. That is nuts. Now we got something we can sink our teeth into. Yeah, but
not to mention, I just saw a picture of Adam Cole with his brother, who looks friggin' identical.
But anyways, back to you,
the fact that I gotta take issue with the fact that this match basically ended after Britt was drugged with nitrous.
Well, I mean, if you're ever gonna get drugged, in a doctor's office is the best place, right?
Yeah, but in a wrestling match, that's like the equivalent of somebody pulling out a syringe and injecting someone. To me, but now I didn't see the match entirely, but did she start laughing?
She did not.
Yeah. So it wasn't nitrous. It was something even worse. You get what I'm like hinting at? That's
murder.
Yeah, almost, just about attempted. Anyway,
But I mean, Britt Baker did start it. She did have a drill. She was going to drill into Big Swole. So
yes, but I mean, yeah, okay, okay. I mean, we've seen we've seen those kinds of things happen in wrestling with thumbtacks and everything like that, and it's the actual use of. I mean, yeah, it wasn't real, but I don't like the fact that they went there when they could have probably done something, something probably, just as entertaining. That was, just for shock.
fair enough.
And yeah.
What say you, Kaliko? Especially that this was one of the first cinematic matches AEW's done.
Yeah, and they were doing that because Britt still fucked up. So, and I think that was just a way for her to stay relevant. Because I mean, you could make an argument she's the biggest name in the division. So I see what they were trying to go there. Yeah, they were trying to go for the shock value. The story in itself is kind of awkward to the point like me. I don't know. I don't get why they were beefing. I, what was the genesis of this? And that to me prevented me from getting invested. Other than the fact that they'd suspended Swole for damn kidnapping somebody. I guess you can like fuck somebody up and throw them all across the arena and damn near kill them, but and damn near run over them with golf carts. But you kidnap somebody and you get 30 days. I,
Yeah. Plus, Britt wasn't medically cleared.
Well, that seemed just about the story of this preview now, wasn't it? That being said,
Yeah.
their whole medical team needs to get fucking investigated. That whole ethics and medical ethics and their ethics team need to get, because it's like a bunch of shit and and I don't get it. I just don't get. I get it. The show must go on, but I'm always also like, to what expense, man? This is what I keep saying. Like, they could do all the flips and shit that they want, but Undertaker's right, bro. You got to tell a story. People didn't like Bret Hart because he was the greatest promo guy. He could wrestle and tell a fucking story in the ring, and that's where I think their AEW as a whole is kind of lacking.
that brings us to our next match. The Young Bucks defeated Jurassic Express. This was actually
Next. Next. Did you really think that was gonna be ended any other way? Did
no,
you
but
really think?
I still enjoyed the match.
I mean, the Young Bucks, super kicking Alex Marquez on Dynamite was better.
Yeah, like them turning heel this past Wednesday. What if that's a heel move? I mean, it's like they turned heel, and the guy who we thought was going to turn heel 18 years ago finally did. So I mean,
like I almost expected the Young Bucks on Dynamite to say, "We just kick Stan."
Lance Archer won the Casino Battle Royal. Scooter?
Yep.
Who?
Yeah. Here I was thinking, you know, AEW, one of the things AEW was doing right was using Eddie Kingston as this leader who was, bringing, two tag teams together to form, his own, army. And I I really thought Eddie Kingston was yeah, set, to be fast tracked, into the main event picture. And I it should not have been Lance Archer who won. It should have been Eddie Kingston. Imagine now imagine the story you could have built on an Eddie Kingston John Moxley main event. Their history together in CCW.
But actually going on the fact that AEW tells good stories.
But see, here's the thing: when it wouldn't necessarily be. I don't think it would be AEW in that case. I think Kingston and Moxley could really, do their own, thing. And knowing Moxley, he would probably really want to, like, he would probably tell his own story, do his own thing, have more control. And this is just like, and I never liked Lance Archer, so I don't think anybody did.
I mean, to me, it just shows that they don't know how to build a star, like, or a contender. Because think about it, he's the next contender, and he got it only because he won the Battle Royal, not because he was running through the damn division. And that is the core of the issue. You can't sit there and tell me that wins and losses matter, and you're not building contenders.
Yeah. Plus the fact that he also lost a TNT Championship match.
One of the only matches I've seen him actually wrestle in. Hence my point.
So,
and there they go, just hot-shotting motherfuckers to the chip because they don't know how to go, oh my God, this dude's been on a 10-win. The only person they did that with, and God bless her heart, was Sheeta, because Sheeta just happened to be on this roll, and they were probably like, oh shit, she's actually won a bunch. Let's make that a thing. But for the men's side, it's just like the Wild Wild West out that bitch. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, we got Matt Sydal making his AEW debut as the Joker. I'm still confused as to why the grouping of card suits even matters.
Because it's supposed to be based. I thought that was like the double or nothing type thing, because that's where it was. I think
they're just throwing shit to the wall at this point when it comes to these matches.
Like, why are they
speaking and speaking of Matt Sydal, yeah, him and that shooting star press. Hope he's okay. Bless his heart.
It's a bad night. A bad night for people named Matt. And how many people
you ain't lying
under contract named Matt? They could build an entire stable with all the people named Matt in the company.
And that brings us to the next match, Broken Rules match. Matt Hardy defeated Sammy Guevara. Okay, so Yeah, AEW's Doctor. I will say that Audrey Edwards, the referee, she did call off the match, which was the right call to make. But the Doctor restarted the match after like 5 minutes, if it was that. Scooter, I'm sure you've wrestled before. I'm sure you've seen this kind of thing happen before.
Yes, actually. In fact, I saw it back with Pat Buck. Um, because he was a trainer at the time, and he was a heel, but he wanted to be a face, and he and it was a a fake thing. He wanted, so his match ended prematurely when he was injured, and he came out to like apologize to the crowd, and boom, he was a face. Yeah. Um. As for you know, you know, seeing like legit actual like endings, it's like this yes, injuries. Luckily, I'm glad to say I didn't see any occur, during my career. Um, but the fact that they they didn't pan away, they left them. They left it there. Like, have at least some decency to, you know, have a a backup plan. Go to somebody like and then come back to it. Don't, especially your pay-per-view viewers who are paying money for this, make them feel like they're wasting their money over a a legitimate like incident like that. And this this brings up the Owen Hart incident
Damn,
where
you're going into it.
where at least the WWE had the good graces and common decency to pan away from what was a potential tragedy. This could have been, we could have seen, this could have been so much worse. They got so lucky that Matt didn't end up paralyzed or even dead. And it's, there's nothing elite about a man being rendered unconscious legitimately the hard way and allowing him to continue the match. I don't give a crap if he says he wants to continue. He's not in the right frame of mind at that point. You stop the damn match and you explain what's going on. You don't put it into the story.
Do you think that this happened because AEW is inexperienced in this
That
field?
that's probably a, a lot of it. It's my I mean, you would think with some of the people they have that they would know better.
Well, let me ask
I
you
mean,
this. Do you think that they're going to learn from this mistake, or do you think they're going to continue to repeat it?
God, I hope they learn from it. I mean, you could also compare this technically to the Owen Hart Steve Austin match from from SummerSlam '97
Yeah.
with the stinger, and they just ended the match. Like they could have just actually counted Matt out,
Oh, absolutely.
like legitimately, and just done it.
It was lose or leaves. If Matt loses, he leaves AEW. Well, he would have had to
Yeah,
left anyway for injury. You could run
yeah,
him back into the storyline.
yeah, and plus you could eventually, like you could probably explain that there's a clause in the contract that that you know he that since he didn't have the ability to get up, he could, it's all about. But it was to quote, to use a nice new word, a flustercluck.
Oh, that's a nice new word.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we could debate this of what they could have done all night. Uh, it's not going to change the fact that they let what happened happen. And I
Yeah,
definitely think a lot of if people didn't have a new view on AEW after that match, they really need to open their eyes.
And it's compounded by the fact that people are starting to understand how head injuries are now due because of the NFL and because of the head collisions and the long term symptoms from them. You would think that there was someone that would have known better. And yeah, they could have did it a million ways. It could have been like, "Yo, I lost, but you didn't pin me." Like the if I lost, the loss was either by pinfall or submission. Duh. Duh.
but
That
you
was
know,
that was your
yeah,
out. And then also, if the ref stops it, it makes the ref look weak because you're sitting there telling me the ref don't
but
her decision ain't final.
it was a last man standing though. There was no pinfall or submission.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
I was about to say, but even with that though, even with the ref calling it off, they overrid her. So how can I take her seriously as a ref in any other matches?
That's actually a really good point.
yeah.
Because of the simple fact that I can't take your decision to heart because I see motherfuckers override it.
And the referees are supposed to be, the ones that are really keeping keeping track out there. This is probably one of the things, if not the most, that fans really don't understand or tend to forget is how much the referees are actually doing. They're the magician's assistant.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, direct. The wrestlers are directing you one way, but the referee is the one really making sure that you know everything is flows correctly.
Correct. Alright. Our next matchup is the AEW Women's World Championship match. Akira Shida defeated Thunder Rosa to retain the championship. Hands down, one of the best women's matches in AEW history. What say
Yep.
you, Kaliko?
That was the best women's match in AEW history. And it had to come from somebody and an outsider. Um, to me, I mean, Sheeta's gonna run. She's the division, and I'm assuming. I would hope that this would be something where they could do a work with AEW or NWA, because NWA, um, they have a okay roster. I mean, I could see a Sienna or a Allison Kay beating the brakes off Sheeta, like straight up. But it just depends on how much AEW loves Sheeta, because Sheeta got that Instagram following, so it's like a cult at this point. But I mean, where does Sheeta go from here? Who's the next challenger? Because she's essentially, by her rising to the division, she wiped the division.
Right.
So that's where my question would be for her. Like, what's next?
I suppose she could fight the chick that needs to find Jesus.
Uh, I think they would bring in more talent to fight her. I think styles make the fights, and I think someone of a Allison K build who is a much bigger woman than she is would be a good matchup. Just me personally. Uh, but they need to get that division up ASAP, because it's DOA, bro. That thing's DOA.
Anything you want to add to that, Scooter? Sheeta and Rosa?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Yes, this was the best women's match AEW has ever produced. I feel with Thunder Rosa being mentioned that NWA's got along with the United Wrestling Network just released the card for their primetime pay-per-view with Nick Aldis and Mike Bennett in the main event. However, Thunder Rosa not booked for this show, but
that is a crime.
But yes, nothing more to say than this is and probably will be the best women's match AEW will ever produce.
And I think that was probably the best match on that fucking card.
I definitely agree with that. And Thunder Rosa, friend of the show. If Thunder Rosa, you will always be invited to come on Wrestling with Entertainment if you ever need to speak your mind. And we will get to our next match. Dustin Rhodes, Scorpio Sky, Matt Cardona, and QT Marshall with Brandy Rhodes and Ali defeated Mr. Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno with Anna Jay. Any comments from anybody?
Poor Anna Jay. That's all I'm gonna say. Poor Anna Jay. This is her big break, and now she's stuck with Jobber Incorporated, and like, just I mean, how can you take the Dark Order seriously? Like, seriously, because the way that they're being booked, it's like on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. Dark Order loses. Brody Lee gets mad, yet he doesn't kick anybody out. So it's on again, off again, on. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what the fuck?
I mean, maybe a win here for the Dark Order would have kind of strengthen the fact that, maybe they're dangerous, but, when has AEW done anything that kind of made sense? Especially on this pay-per-view.
With Sheeta and Thunder Rosa, that was probably the only ace in the hole they had. And I bet somebody that was a producer was like, leave that fucking match alone. You do not touch this fucking match.
AEW World Tag Team Championship match. FTR with Tully Blanchard defeated Kenny Omega and Hangman Page to win the titles. WWE guys with Tag Team Gold. This was not a good match by any means. Scooter, your thoughts?
And it went 30 minutes, man. Like, everybody talked about the revival or the brain busters, and it just made me want to bust my brain.
And it took 30 minutes for something. The only thing I hate about it is it took 30 minutes for something that should have happened 8 months ago.
What exactly happened in 30 minutes? Because it certainly wasn't a Hangman or Kenny turn.
I mean, it basically was just the genesis of because they've been fucking flirting it forever, and everyone kind of saw it coming, and they thought it was going to come months ago. But especially after the Young Bucks match, that's when everybody thought it was going to pop off. Right. But it just kept going and going and going and going.
Part of me really wonders if this is, and I doubt AEW is smart enough to even do this, if this is actually leading up to something of like a New World Order type thing. Where, the man who was supposed to be, Kenny Omega, is, to me, the equivalent of John Cena in terms of what he's supposed to be in terms of AEW popularity. He's supposed to be the name you associate with with AEW. And part of me wonders if this is building to something where Kenny decides he wants to take all the WWE guys and put them into one faction.
That would be pretty cool.
And then that's when you have the AEW guys win. But that's never going to happen.
I see where you're going. But my thing is, I think that this would be... I think this loss is to set up Kenny to actually have a singles run. And this is the reason why, because we've all seen Kenny Omega, but we've not seen the cleaner.
Right.
It's just been Kenny Omega. And the one thing that we thought we were going to see when AEW started was the cleaner, the bout machine, the guy that has all these crazy matches, and it really... or these great matches, and it really hasn't manifested itself, be it whether he choosing to let others get their shine, or be it they are basically holding on to it. But this, if there were any moment for a contender to pop up, this has to be it. Because they ain't got no male contenders for the heavyweight title. And it just feels like Moxley's sitting on the hill with a bunch of people, like, just reaching. Like, But And as much as you have all these contenders, you don't really believe that they're gonna beat Mox. Omega is the only person where you could actually say, "Hey, he could actually win."
That's true. And that will bring us to the next match. Orange Cassidy defeated Chris Jericho in a Mimosa Mayhem match. He won by the way of throwing Chris Jericho into a vat of mimosa.
All that champagne and orange juice wasted.
Also, AEW
It tastes like
giving
maple
Mox
syrup now.
AEW giving Mox that CM Punk 2011 treatment. Being the champ and not main eventing. It's kind of peculiar.
Wait,
No, that wasn't the last match.
Yeah, Mox did main event.
MJF main evented.
Oh, I was about to say, boy.
Now,
Boy.
I will say that I thought that with the fact that it was MJF, that Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho would in fact be the main event.
That would
Only
really
because-
devalue the main of Moxley and MJF at that point, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's a lose, in this situation. I mean, yeah, Orange Cassidy in a pay-per-view main event. That's friggin' news for AEW. That gets people paying attention.
Are you saying this should have been the main event?
At this point, I'm probably saying yes, because you have Orange Cassidy, somebody, a talent that most fans, unless they were hardcore fans, wouldn't have batted an eye at. Going over the most decorated superstar in all of pro wrestling. Not for the first time, but for the second time. Now, that's when wins should matter. And it's just Orange Cassidy, I feel safe in saying that if there were actual fans, and this was in an actual venue or arena, that more fans would have popped for Orange Cassidy's victory than Mox's victory.
I would agree with you there. He's slowly becoming a name that you could pop into a supermarket and people would know who he is.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like we're seeing the rise of several almost Kofi Kingston types.
Well, I mean, the match wasn't bad. I just might be a little spoiled on the fact that Jericho lost, maybe because I'm just a Jericho guy.
I mean, also, this is it's also the male equivalent of friggin', those pudding matches, gravy matches from, the Attitude Era in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's really what this is. I mean, still though, it's a spectacular moment for AEW in this case. And because of placement, they can't get the maximum effect this would have had if this was just placed in the main event one match later.
Right. Anything you want to add, Kaliko?
I could see Scooter's point with where it's especially getting over on the series or over the program of a Chris Jericho. But the bigger question would be now is where does Orange Cassidy go from here, and where does Jericho go from
Well,
here?
Jericho's going into the tag division with Jake Hager.
I mean,
he could always, if Kevin Smith needs him to play a Klansman again,
or you could hold a rally or a concert in Sturgis and break off. But that's neither here nor there. But another question is, how are they going to maximize this Orange Cassidy win? Because as much as we liked it, I mean, they might fuck around and give him a title shot at this point because they don't give anybody title shots. But to me, where does it go? To me, that was Orange Cassidy's highest moment. It's not going to get higher than that.
You might be right about that.
And that's where it's like, yeah, he's there, but now he needs to get to the next level.
And I apologize for interrupting, and I'm going to add on to that.
No. That's actually accurate. Go ahead.
Where that was where we would have to see Orange Cassidy start to evolve. So he's got to start to change. He's got to be more than the guy who could do moves with hands in his pockets. And this is the perfect jumping off point for that.
If he actually started talking after the match.
Yeah. Like, it's almost as if he's got a gimmick where he doesn't realize how much potential he has.
Exactly. And I just feel like if Jericho didn't make him have to dig deeper in himself to change himself for the long haul, who is going to be that guy for him?
Right. Well, that brings us to our main event, AEW World Championship match. Jon Moxley defeated MJF with Wardlow to retain the AEW title. This could have been a really good match for MJF to kind of shine, and I kind of felt like it fell under that. They gave him the opportunity to have a great match, and I don't feel like he kind of delivered. What say you, Scooter?
Yeah, he didn't. End of story.
What?
Because MJF, as much as everyone kept saying he's the guy where he's good to talk and get his ass kicked in the end. He's not the guy to where you actually believe he could come out on top by himself or on pure Sheen wrestling. That's why the story went the way it went of him trying to basically not beat Moxley straight up, just basically breaking every rule to try to get the pin, get a quick pin and get a cheap one. So that's where I feel like he's limited as well, because as much as everyone is on his coattails and he's the flavor of the month over there at AEW, AEW. That's the limitation of it. It's like, yeah, you could talk somebody. It's like what Bruce Pritchard say. You could talk and look good, but then the bell rings. And that's where it matters the most. To me, I think his highest match was basically beating Cody, and he really didn't beat Cody. It was basically a bunch of bullshit that happened for him to get the win on Cody, as rightfully so, to make him, seem more credible. But people took that win and went, "Oh my God, this guy could be the champion," and that is where I got lost in it, because he did nothing to deserve the shot in the first place.
Right.
Sorry, not sorry. So I agree with Scooter on that shit. Like, bro, he's good at talking and getting people pissed, but eventually you're going to have to wrestle and settle it in the ring. And that's where it's like, you got to come with it. You got to come with it. It's like the opposite of Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan couldn't really talk, but he'll wrestle your ass off. MJF can talk his ass off. Not really good in the ring.
Let's finish this on a good note. Scooter, best match of the night.
Shida and Rosa.
Kaliko.
Shida Rosa, hands. Not even close. Not even fucking close.
Yeah. Mine's Shida and Rosa too. And that will conclude our coverage of AEW All Out. And that will be our show for tonight. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, and comment both on YouTube and Castbox. Please join us this Wednesday during Dynamite for Kaliko's expedition into a supermarket to find one soul that knows who Darby Allin is.
Yeah, let us pray.
Until then, you can join the conversation on Twitter. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
I am Kaliko. Yep, that's me.
You don't have to be so somber about it.
Well, I'm somber just because of that. We were just spending an hour talking about that show, and it was really just one glaring, big, bright light in a sea of darkness.
Damn, Kaliko is in a dark place because of AEW. Thank you, AEW.
I mean that and house hunting. It's a fucking bitch. But that's here.
See, you have to sneak up on the house and then shoot it.
See, that's the problem. Everybody got these low ass interest rates, so therefore the mortgages are low, and everybody's like fucking Oprah in here. You get a loan. You get a loan. That's where it fucks it up. But I mean, if I'm taking it out on AEW, I'm sorry.
And
Not sorry. Not sorry.
And where can they find Scooter Dust?
You can always find me at Scooter Dust and at UNBS Wrestling.
Yeah, the remix is coming back soon. Am I correct?
Yeah, 9/28/20, the remix. We're going back. We're going back to basics. And hopefully it's gonna be the remix in a new and inventive way.
I mean, hopefully I can get in the dome and chat on Discord at the same time. That was pissing me off, yo, because I kept trying to do it. It wouldn't let me. I was trying, bro.
Well, I mean, they won't even let Scooter smoke on Thunderdome.
Yeah,
so I don't know
how... by habit, I picked up my cigar just for like a second, and immediately I hear in my ear, there is no smoking or vaping allowed of any kind. If we do see it, we will ban you.
Damn.
Yeah, I can't imagine that you wouldn't get banned for talking to us, Kaliko.
No, it was just more of technical issues of me
Yeah,
trying to set it up.
because it lags anytime you have something else that uses media.
That uses the media and
Microphone.
bandwidth. Yep.
Yep.
And that's where that was my biggest issue. I was trying my ass off, boy.
That's why I'm considering getting a second cheap machine.
I might just get a second laptop. It's like, fuck it.
And
Fuck
for Kaliko Yachts, Mitch Mayhem, who has gone missing once again, and
He's in
Scooter.
Roppongi Vice. You know where he's at.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
I don't care.
and Scooter Dust. I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.